to the Breakdown Podcast YouTube channel. My name's Corey, and in this episode, on this video, we are going to be talking The Masked Singer, episode 4 of season 5. And with me today, as always, is Vic. He's somewhere around over there.
The king is in the house. What's going on, brother? How are you today?
I am tired.
No.
It's Sunday. It's Sunday when we're recording this.
Actually, big happy Easter to everybody.
Yeah, like a few days late when you see this.
Yeah, so, well, you know, we're recording on Easter. We're wishing everyone happy Easter. When they watch it, it's a thing. But either way, they'll still get a happy Easter from us, even if they watch it like 6 months from now. Yeah. Happy Easter. Yeah.
It'll be early for those people.
Right. That's it. That's how you
Before we get started, we do want to let you know that we do our show live every Tuesday on Twitch. That's 7 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/MillerKing_51. The link will be in the description below. We do our show live, and we're currently talking The Flash as well as Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and anything else we may happen to see during the week that progressed between the previous episode. So please stop by, check it out, join the conversation, and we have fun while we're streaming, so come by and check it out. We also, if you can't do that, we also have the audio version is available on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. While you're here, please, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We do appreciate it. It does help to get our videos out there. The more subscribers, the more likes. So give us a thumbs up, and it helps. It helps. Everything helps out, and you can hit the bell as well too. That way, you know whenever we upload new videos.
And be sure to leave a comment. We're happy to hear from you.
Yes, let us know your thoughts. We've had some people commenting on some of the videos, and we do appreciate it. And
especially those who agree with me. I love everyone who agrees with my
Of course you do. Of course you do. But yeah, let us know what's your thoughts, who your guesses, and let us know how right I am. So, with that, Vic, let's break this down.
All right, sir. Here we go.
Who did we start out with this week?
This week started out with Grandpa Monster.
Started the whole thing out? I don't remember him starting the whole thing out.
He kicked it off this week.
Well, he's going to kick off the week, but we're going to save him for the end because he got voted off.
Of course.
So next,
second after him was Piglet.
Was Piglet next? Okay.
Yeah, Piglet was second.
Okay. Now, as I said last week, or 2 weeks ago when these characters were singing, my guess was Nick Lachey.
Okay.
And that's based on what I heard just in a commercial like 4 times in a row. Thank you, CW. And so that was my first, and then we had a different song in that episode, and then I think the song that was featured in the commercial is the one we had in this episode.
Okay.
So Nick Lachey is still at the top of my list. However, I do have a backup.
Caveat. Okay.
Yes, we got some football clues in this one. Now,
are you about to spoil my guess for this?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. Good.
To my knowledge, Nick Lachey did not play in the NFL.
No.
I'm pretty sure of that.
And now, this week's clues was nothing but football references.
Yes.
Too many to be a red herring.
Now, he could have played in college. I don't know if he actually went to college because he may have been doing the thing with 98 degrees. Yes, I knew that. But we had a lot of football clues in this one. And so there was one clue that I had to pause it on.
Okay.
And they had put out this chalkboard, and it said like 3,400 and something inches per game. And I'm like, we're rushing per game or something. Right. I was like, okay, that's very specific.
Yeah, the exact clue was 3,528 rushing in / game. That's the exact terminology for it.
So from that, I figured the in was actually inches.
Okay.
So now you take that 3,500 whatever inches and convert them into yards or into feet, which then I took into how many feet are in a yard. Yes, I did some math here, and then I figured it out that it's 98 yards per game. Okay. Now, looking at the retired running backs that are available, the only one that comes close was at 97.8 average.
Okay.
And that's pretty damn close.
All right.
That person, I'm not going to reveal it just yet because there's one other clue in this package.
Okay.
They showed the football helmets.
Right.
Now, they had gold helmets.
Right.
Which first thing comes to mind, Notre Dame. However, there was a horse on the front. Now, that's a weird place to put the logo of a football team, but I digress.
Okay.
Now, that person that had 98 or 97 point yards rushing per game on average also played for the Broncos.
Okay.
This other guess, Terrell Davis.
Wow. That's you put a lot into that, my sir. My dude, like there was a lot going on there. That's more fingers and toes than you have, so I'm pretty impressed at your reasoning there. But let me counteract a couple of your facts with a couple of mine for this one.
Sure, because I know what you're going to say, and I'm going to counter those.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So let's talk about the other clues. One of the clues was a knight, a suit of armor, which is a knight, right? And what do knights ride? Horses. And do you know what the University of Central Florida's colors are?
They are black and gold.
Black and gold. All right. So we're going to go there. Now, don't be a ball hog, right? The UCF Knights, arch rival, gold helmet with a horse on it. I'm not sure about that, but here's what I am sure of. The number 11 shows up twice there. The 11 is the number of this person's jersey number. It's also the place that he was picked, number 11th in the overall picks for the draft into the NFL. Okay. Played 11 seasons in the NFL.
Wow, that's very specific.
Yeah, right?
He likes that number 11. Apparently.
Likes that number 11, right? And Friday Night Life reference, that's just a football thing. Number 11, Dante Culpepper, played for the UCF Knights. Played the number 11. Was the number 11 draft pick. 11 years in the thing. Black and gold all over the place, right? Fits Dante Culpepper. That's my lock for this. Too many references that fit.
Yeah, I mean, those clues very well could be done. The only caveat is that rushing per game. Now, granted, he was a rushing as a rushing quarterback.
Yep, he was a scrambler.
But he didn't. I don't think he had 98 yards rushing per game. I can almost guarantee it.
Maybe not.
That's gonna. But if you
go over all his entire career, so if you go over 11 years. So you're saying it says rushing in/game. I think the inches thing. I think the inches is not. I don't know.
I think it's inches. It's got to be.
I think it's a total of 3,528 rushing yards in games, like in the game. So in the game of football, that's how many rushing yards he got. That would make sense. Over 11 years, 3,500 rushing yards. Yeah, that's definitely doable for a scrambling quarterback. Possibly. So that's where I'm going with it. But yeah. So and Meg Ryan was his crush, which was their thing for this week. They did first crushes. There's no way you could guess that. I don't see how you guess that through.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. It would have to be. I mean, even Terrell Davis could be iffy. Okay. I think Culpepper is older than Terrell Davis, and I believe for him to have his first crush be Meg Ryan, it's a little late because even with Top Gun, that was like 87. So
yeah, but I
don't know.
But by the 90s, Meg Ryan was in a number of movies. In the 90s.
No. Well, yeah, but I'm just saying. I just think the 8 that kind of gives a slight hint to the age of the person.
Right.
Every one of these, because they were all clues about who their first crushes were.
Yeah.
Because like one other one with Janet Jackson that somebody said. Somebody who is probably around the same age as Janet Jackson. So
well, no. He said he grew up with Janet Jackson on Good Times, And if that's the case,
okay,
then
I didn't hear that part.
Growing up with Janet Jackson on Good Times just meant he watched Good Times, which does also date them because that was a 70s sitcom.
Yeah, but I watched it when I was a kid too, and it was much later.
But she wouldn't have been like it wouldn't have been like growing up with her on the Good Times means that it's probably around that same age range of her during that time.
Agree. Yeah.
So that would have been my guess with that. But that's what I'm going with. I'm going with Dante Culpepper. There are just too many Central Florida Nights references. I grew up in Orlando. My sister's that's my sister's alma mater. She actually went to UCF. I lived down the street from UCF. I was on that campus quite a number of times throughout my youth. So I really feel like that there's so many things that points towards that this is who I think that is.
And I probably drove by it at some point. All right, let's move on to, I think Swan was next, correct?
Yep, Black Swan was next.
And we've already locked in our votes for this.
I'm locking in JoJo on this. Well, I'm locking in JoJo on this, but I'm also going to say that there is a link to a YouTube video by Uprocks that Corey will put into the description down there. I watched this. I was playing a game, and you know how YouTube just kind of auto plays the next thing on a list of stuff, and I don't know what rabbit hole I was in, but at some point this popped up, and
you were in a very weird rabbit hole. Let me tell you.
I just let it run, and like after he goes from one thing. I mean, I've listened to music on YouTube, listening to Eminem, and then all of a sudden it turns into Queen. You're like, where did that turn from? Like, how did that happen? But
you were listening to one of my playlists,
probably. That's exactly it. But this video came up, and I had
also available on YouTube. Go check them out.
Right, I'd seen it, and I just let it play in the background, but I was listening to it the whole time, and every single clue that they talk about in this fits this little video. So if you want to watch this video and see why I was like, I'm locking this in, like sight unseen right from the first thing, you'll understand why I've done that. If I'm wrong, then fuck them.
They've duped you.
They completely duped me. But that's where this comes from. So check that out. If Corey remembers to put the link, because I sent it to you, put that link down there so they can take a look at it. All right. We'll see. After that was Chameleon.
Now, initially, I have Tech 007.
Right.
My initial guess was Jack White. Now, when this episode aired, they played back part of Chameleon sing it, and just hearing that and looking at my guess, I'm scratching Jack White off that list. It ain't Jack White.
Jack White that tall? Like, this dude is tall and thin
he's tall
as hell. So
well, the last time Chameleon performed, they brought up a lot of basketball guesses. The judges did, and kept bringing up the Lakers. Now, if you've watched the show long enough, you know that they tend to tease in their pitches who this is. Right. Or they tend to give you more clues, and then they don't even follow their own clues.
Yeah.
And I think that's to set everybody off. That being said, they had a lot of Laker mentions. The number 7 who played for the Lakers, I did a search. I did a search just to see how many people played or had the number 7, the best players in the NBA all time. This man's name was on the list. He did play for the Lakers. There were some clues which I didn't write down from this episode that kind of pushed me that way. One of them being that he lost his mom.
Well, it didn't say it was his mom. He said he lost a loved one who was into fashion.
Yes. And this person did lose their mom, and I'm not sure if there was a fashion thing there or not. My guess, Lamar Odom.
Any reason why the cheese plate would be involved with Lamar Odom?
He likes cheese. He's a big fan of brie.
Lamar Odom is the one that was married to the Kardashian, right?
Yes.
Am I right with that?
Yes.
Ugh,
now, the only asterisk I have with him is because he went through some drug issues a few years ago. So maybe it's not him, because I don't know how clean he is now, or if he's over all that.
Does he fit that body
He is
type?
tall.
Is he that thin though? Like, this dude, like, even in the picture that I have on screen right now, it looks like it's exaggerated, but that dude is literally that thin. He is like rail thin and like a gigantic tall.
I just mentioned drug issues.
Well, there's that. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna. Are you gonna lock that in, or is that just your guess?
That's my guess. I'm not locking that one in.
I'm gonna tell you that I have no effing idea who this is. Like, I cannot, for the life of me, based on the clues that they've given so far, I can't figure out who this is. So I'm still stumped. So for right now, we'll give you Lamar Odom. I'm still gonna reserve for the next week and see if I can come up with anything. But right now, I'm stumped on him completely.
All right, now we've got a new one, and that is the crab.
Yes.
Mr. Krabs showed up, and for the life of me, I came up with nothing.
Yeah, this one, they gave some clues, but they weren't very forthcoming as to, like, who it really could have been. I will tell you this, though. That crab is thick. That's a big boy. Whoever's in there is a big dude. And I'm talking about, like, of stature, like, I'm a big dude. Like, I'm roughly the size of a door frame. This dude is about my size, so like he's a big guy. Whoever it is,
we'll just go out on a limb and say he likes cheeseburgers.
He is a big guy.
I mean, he
does
Mr.
sing.
Krabs.
He sings very well. So I do think that it leans towards someone who has a singing career. To me, it feels like. When I first looked at it, I was just like, dude, I'd die laughing. It was CeeLo Green, but he's too tall. Like, because I was trying to think of like thick singers, thick male singers.
They did mention
like, who could this be? And then like the only thing that popped in my head, because CeeLo Green always pops in my head. He's one of my favorites. So I was like, dude, I'd love it if that was CeeLo Green. I would have that would be perfect. But then I digressed. I was like, nope, that dude's too tall. CeeLo is very short.
They mentioned Johnny Gill, and I was like, nah, he ain't that. I mean, I haven't seen him in a long time, but I have a hard time believing that's him.
I'm going to tell you right now, that was not a bad guess because I hadn't thought of him, but when they brought him up, I was like, if it was somebody from that group, so you're talking about like Johnny Gill, and like you're also talking about like Drew Hill, like all of those, like that.
He was a New Edition.
Well, New Edition, Drew Hill, like all that group of singers in that time frame, that realm. Like, he could fit. That would fit. But I'm really at a loss as to who that crab could be.
I think Bobby Brown is a better guess.
No. Nope.
No.
Bobby Brown.
Based on body type.
No,
type.
Let me tell you this. Bobby Brown has a very distinctive
Bobby B
thing to his voice when he sings that's almost annoying. And he has turned into not a good singer as of late.
I'm not real sure he was that great.
Well, no, he
was
a good singer for a very long time. But as of late, if you hear him try to sing, you're like, yeah, you need to hang that up, dude. You're not one of those people that can do this into your old age. It just ain't gonna work. So I really don't think it's him. The Johnny Gill one is the best guess that I've seen so far. I still do not have an idea of who he is. I'm going to do a little bit more research on the clues. The clues were kind of vague to me. Nothing really hit. Like sometimes they'll give a clue and you're like, oh, that gives you something. Like I always find something to latch onto in the clues, like with the double 11. Like I was like, that's too many 11s to have on the screen at one time for me not to investigate that number 11. And then on top of it with the Knights, I was like, I know what this is supposed to be. But like, there's no clues with Crab that gave me an idea like, okay, this is where I should hook in to trying to figure out who this is. So I'm not convinced that I can make a good guess right now. So though he did come in time to end the career of one of our contestants, I am kind of I'm still stumped as to who he is. So
Grandpa Munster.
That's who we're talking about now.
Now, if you remember when he was first introduced, I said it's a younger person, even though they made reference to that he's a grandpa. I said, no, that's just the character saying that he's a grandpa. A younger
person. The way he was doing that little ridiculous kicky dance thing he was doing. There's like old knees, like being an old guy. That's not happening like that. It's just not happening.
I said he was younger. I also said maybe football was a part of it. I was wrong on one of those.
Right.
And but as this episode went on, I think you had said Logan Paul last week or 2 weeks ago, and so I was keeping that in mind. And as some of the clues would come up, there was a dog. There was a boxer.
A boxer. Yep.
So, and I know that he had a celebrity fight with
KSI, one of the other YouTube fighters. One of the other YouTubers. He did.
There was somebody else though, wasn't there?
I thought there was, but who was it?
And then, because I remember seeing he was doing an interview, and they're like, "Don't you think that beating him up in the ring was racist?" And he was like, "What are you talking about? It was a fight."
Yeah.
So that I knew because of that interview,
right.
And I kind of heard some things beforehand that he was doing a boxing match, and there were some other things that were dropped through there too.
Well, when they as soon as they said, like, I had it in my head that this was one of the two, either him or his brother. So there's Jake and there's Logan. But when they said, "Oh, I got myself lost in the woods on purpose," I was like, "That's definitely Logan," because that idiot did the video in the suicide woods in Japan. You remember that whole thing? Yeah, that's him.
Or was that his brother?
No, it was him. And he tried to say that he got himself stranded out there. Well, I was like, dude, you had a YouTube crew with, like, you had people filming you, so you weren't, like, stranded out there by yourself. Like, it's just not how that works. But
now this isn't the one that the one that was caught shoplifting during the riots, is it?
No,
or is that his brother?
That was Jake.
Okay.
They're both the same idiot when it really comes down to it. If you're a fan of Jake and Logan Paul, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. They're idiots and they are jerks, but that's how they make their money, and they know it, and they thrive on it, they feed on it. The things they do because they know people are gonna go, man, these guys are jerks. I want to watch and see what they do next. But when they say, "Oh, it's Jake Paul," I'm like, why would you automatically go to Jake? I'm like, Logan's the one. Like, you, like, all of the clues. Yeah. And they were parallel. There were a lot of things, but I think there would have been a little bit of a difference to it in how. Yeah,
when they kept saying Jake, I was thinking he was the one that got in trouble with during the riots. I'm like, why would you go to him first? Because I would imagine this is not. He doesn't have time for this right now.
Right.
so that's a pretty bad guess.
Yeah.
But I knew his brother wasn't part of that, so that option was still there.
Yeah. And the Bad Reputation song they did too. That was the other thing that got me. Like your choice of songs for some of these guys makes a whole lot of sense, and a lot of his, like, the Bad Reputation thing, I was like, yeah, that's definitely the Paul's, and I was like, I'm just not sure which one. But then when he said the forest thing, I got lost in the forest by myself. I was like, that's Logan. We're done. I'm locking that in as soon as I saw it. So, and of course, it comes out that it was Logan Paul, so I was not wrong.
So you're counting that as a win for you?
Of course I am.
See, I can't do it, even though that's who I would have guessed.
Right.
Had he stayed on, that's who I would have gone with.
Yeah.
I can't really, in good conscience, count that as a win for me. So I'm just not going to count it.
Okay.
All right, that is going to end it. That's all of them. We don't know who's coming up next week. I would imagine they're going to stick with the same groups until they can knock off a couple more.
I'm wondering if they're going to have more of these, because like last season they had
there could be some more wild cards.
Well, they did, because they had a Group A, Group B, and Group C. So what they're doing is, instead of having Group C, they're just introducing these wild cards. So if they bring in 2 more wild cards, that takes care of Group C. The 4 singers for Group C. They're just pulling them in as wild cards instead of having a total another group, which actually kind of makes sense in a production standpoint, because you don't have to film a whole nother set of episodes. Because I don't know if you noticed this or not, but the past 2 weeks episodes, so episode 3 and episode 4, you can tell that they filmed those the same day.
The same day, because Niecy was wearing the exact same outfit.
Both of them, him and Schlesinger, were also wearing she had on the yellow outfit with the pigtails. So, like, you can tell they're trying to condense down the amount of time that they're using by doing it this way. So it does, I mean, production wise, it makes sense to do it this way, because you're actually you're negating out a whole third set of recordings. So I'll give you points for that.
The only reason I remembered Niecy wearing the same thing, because it's kind of hard to forget that outfit.
Right. Well, that was the other thing. Like, she's like, "Do I know you? Have we dated?" And he did that, like, the hourglass figure thing. And she's like, "Oh, I know exactly who that is now." I was like, "Oh." So if you're right about Chameleon, that would make sense, because he does like a full-figured woman.
All right. So that's going to end this video. On behalf of Vic, wherever he's at, I'm Corey. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.